crafty friends, and Merry Christmas. I thought I would talk through a few of the cards that I made for the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Christmas 2021 stamp release. And so I thought I'd start with this trio of cards. You could make so many just kind of following this basic design. And what I used are the new Bold Tidings Minis CMS 440 and the Holiday Things CMS 441, and they are sized to work together, kind of like a release, I don't know, Christmas or two ago, where you would stamp one of the image stamps and then you could stamp the sentiment over it. And so that's kind of this thought. I'm not good at the image behind and the sentiment over it. I don't know why, I just can't make it work. So what I ended up doing instead was I kind of reached into, we make a lot of backgrounds and things like that. And so some of these are backgrounds that are made, and then a few of them are ones that I made with this set. So let's take, for instance, this one has two different backgrounds. I have the Snow Flurries, which is an old, I love my background stamps. And so anytime that Tim has released a background stamp, I think I have them all. So this one is the Flurry and Pine CMS 312. And you can see, if you look, that you can just see a little bit of the snow kind of in the background there on the light blue. And then you can see the darker snowflakes here. I used a Jennifer McGuire technique for that, where I put blueprint ink all over the paper, and then I embossed it with just clear embossing. And the snowflake is the one from the Holiday Things snowflake right here. And so I just stamped it all over with clear embossing ink, and then clear embossed it. And then I sprayed it with water and ran it through a die cut machine with just a piece of paper on top. And it kind of pulls off some of the paper in the background here. And then I ironed off the clear embossing. So you can see that the snowflake is not as detailed as the stamp is. And that's because I ironed it. All right. So, but that's okay. I like this look. I knew that was going to happen, but I wanted to do that technique. Then there is actually a little lumber. This is one I think I already had done. Let me see if I can find that. It's this stamp, Lumberjack CMS 384. And so that is just stamped, and then I used just a blending tool to color that in, just to give it a little punch of color. I stamped the sled, and then from here, I stamped it Dashing Through the Snow, added a little word quote stick there, and that's pretty much it. I do my sewing with, and it's not perfect, you can see, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I do that with just a Brother sewing machine that I got from Walmart, and I sew through it just like I sew through fabric. And yes, I sew through fabric the same way. I'm a horrible seamstress, but it's okay. I enjoy it, and so I add it to all of my makes. The next one, this is a background with Kitsch Flamingo, and this one is the sparkle one. Let's see here. This is one of my favorites also. It is called Sparkle and Christmas CMS 324, and it's this side. I think this is very retro Christmas to me. So I stamped on it, and then I did the Kitsch Flamingo so that it was lighter in the background. And then this one, I tried a technique, and it didn't turn out as bold as I wanted, but that's okay. What I did was I used some Versamark, and I just stamped the stripes and holiday type. I stamped the holiday type onto a piece of paper with just Versamark, and I dried it really well, and then I went over it with Kitsch Flamingo and picked raspberry. And it's really hard to see. I don't even know if you can pick that up, but you can barely see the type in the background on that. Barely. If you look for it, you can see it. So that's okay. It still adds the pop of color that I wanted, and it really pulls out the mini Bold Tidings, which was the purpose of having that color. So that's all right. The tree from the holiday things is stamped with Twisted Citron and then a tiny, tiny bit of mowed lawn around the outside. You can see that it's a little bit darker around the outside. And then the plaid is, I have all the plaids too. This one looks like it is the Nordic Plaid and Nordic CMS 243 that it looks like I colored the piece of paper with Twisted Citron, and then I stamped this in mowed lawn is what that looks like to me. And then that pulls out the tree. This pulls out the Making Spirits Bright so that it stands out too. Okay, and the last one in this set is the Holly Jolly Christmas. Again, Bold Tidings Mini Sentiment. This time, I didn't just stamp the wreath from the holiday things. If you look carefully at it, I used my distress markers. I still have some, and they still work, thankfully. And so I went in and I colored, and I did this on a stamping platform because you never get it to color perfectly. And also, I want these lined up, and so I use a stamping platform. So I colored in the holly with a green, I think it was mowed lawn so that it matched everything. Stamped it, colored in it again, stamped it, and then I used candied apple for the ribbon and the holly berries, and then stamped those. And what you do is when you color it in, then you kind of blow on it. Not like you're blowing out a birthday candle, but like you're cleaning your glasses, where you go like that, and you try and get kind of the moisture from your breath onto the stamp, and then you stamp it. And so it took me probably three times to get that image. The background here turned out a tiny bit better. If you look, you can barely see the letters from the stripes and holiday type. Barely. I'm going to keep working on that because I really want them to stand out a little more. This is the same plaid from the Nordic and Plaid that I used on the other one. And then the background for this one is just the holly that comes from the holiday things. All right. So really you can get away with, if you have a couple of background stamps, that you can make your 2 additional papers with, that would work. If you just had 2 and you kind of kept it the same for all of them. And then you can change this up by using different stamps from the holiday things. So that's basically how I made this trio. And like I said, you can do so many different combinations. You could do something with the pine branch and maybe the deer and stamp, Tidings of Comfort, or All Is Calm, All Is Bright might be a nice one for that one too. You could stamp Joy to the World and have worlds in the background here, and then maybe a candle here or something like that. So they're just, the combinations are whatever you can think up. And you could make as many of these, and once you get started, you can actually make quite a few, and you could knock out a bunch of Christmas cards. So that is the first of my Tim Holtz Sizzix Christmas 2021 makes.